No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Winnipeg Jets needed 4 points this weekend, and on the strength of this afternoon's victory over the St. Louis Blues, that is the exact number of points that they have earned this weekend. They keep their faint playoff hopes alive. They give it a little bit of a boost, in fact, after the disappointment of Tuesday night and Thursday night, and now we spend the rest of the afternoon, evening, and night watching the out-of-town scoreboard to find out just how close the Winnipeg Jets are to the final playoff spot in the Western Conference. Good afternoon, Winnipeg. Good afternoon, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this afternoon on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good afternoon, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Along with Dave Manouk, I am your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets' 3-2 victory over the St. Louis Blues. Wasn't the prettiest of efforts in terms of possession numbers. The St. Louis Blues badly outpossessed the Winnipeg Jets, similar to what the Colorado Avalanche did yesterday. But the Jets, when they had opportunities, they took advantage of those opportunities. Eric Comrie stood tall for the Jets in net this afternoon, and as a result, the Jets head to Tuesday night against the Predators, St. Patrick's Day, I might add, with the 3-2 victory in their back pocket. Good afternoon, David. I apologize for being a couple minutes late to get started. I had a lasagna in the oven that I had to remove before we could get going on this post-game show.
I understand, Drew. You went with my arch nemesis food. That's fine. I will accept that. And I don't think anybody was too upset with your I didn't even realize your tardiness, because usually we don't go right live right immediately after the buzzer. We say shortly after, so there's no immediacy. And, you like to let folks have a little decompression, a little time to just chill and relax, and then get, their blood pressure raised or decreased based on whatever they have to talk about it with us. And today was a frenetic day for those of us who were watching 2 screens live. I was at Hockey Canada Life Center watching the first 2 periods of the Jets and the Blues, while also keeping my eyes peeled on what was going on in Calgary as the Moose concluded their road trip out west with a victory, thanks to a lot of the Calgarians on the team. So the Moose win, the Jets win. And yeah, it was an interesting game, Drew. I mean, it was a game where, the Jets take a 2-0 lead, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, these Jets are ready to go. They're rolling. They're putting the, as I've said many times, it's as tired as the excuse itself. But I said to Connor Rabchak, I was like, Connor, is it that they're going to be tired early and then get their legs, or are they going to have a little juice left because they played it back to back, and then they'll be tired by the third period? But the Jets didn't look like they were tired, at least to start the game. And an unusual kind of thing, right? The Jets at the midpoint had 3 shots, 2 goals. The Blues had 1 shot. And then somehow at the end of that first period, shots were 9-4 in favor of St. Louis. And a large part of that was that flurry of chances that they had. But Eric Comrie kept making all the stops, much like Kramer when he was driving the bus. And so Eric Comrie kept making all the stops in that first period. And the Jets, had that lead. But it was weird because they did flip it, right? Where St. Louis kind of, as you said, they caved the Jets in defensively. And there's some bright spots. I mean, Morgan Barron, that pass to Kyle Connor, that's real good. And, there's a guy we've talked about getting some more opportunity to see what he can do with
new career high in points for Morgan Barron based on his 2 assists in tonight's game.
Yeah, that is true. So Morgan Barron, he was very good in this hockey game, made a couple nice plays. But yeah, look, if you're the Winnipeg Jets and you still want to talk about the playoffs, you needed to sweep this weekend. We didn't think it was likely. Again, and if you looked at the analytics, you're a little surprised that the Jets were able to come away with 4 points. But at the end of this, to quote Scott Arniel, at the end of the day, you're walking away with 4 more points, and now you've got 66, Drew, I think, and
66
on the season. So
and we're keeping an eye on the out-of-town scoreboard this afternoon. The Sharks and the Senators are doing battle in our nation's capital. The San Jose Sharks have a 2-1 lead at just about the end of the first period. So obviously the Jets would love some help from the Ottawa Senators. They didn't get any help from the Montreal Canadiens yesterday in the Sharks Senators game. So the Jets would love for the Sens to hold serve, on home court. That would do wonders for the Jets, and that would move them a little bit closer, potentially 4 points behind the last playoff spot, but still to come in action tonight. Of course, we have the Predators are in Edmonton to face the Oilers, and the Florida Panthers are in Seattle to face the Seattle Kraken. So, an out-of-town scoreboard sort of night for the Winnipeg Jets now that they've taken care of their own business, and we'll keep you updated on everything along those lines over the course of today's post-game show. We'll also bring in Scott Arniel when he takes to the dais, when he gets to the podium from the Matt Frost Media Center to discuss this afternoon's contest. It was Thursday that we said we were surprised that Eric Comrie wasn't in net against the New York Rangers. Connor Hellebuyck was. The Jets gave up 6. They got shelled in that game. That was the most disappointing game, I would say, of the homestand so far, given that was, ironically, some of the easiest competition that they were going to face. Comrie in net for the Jets today, setting a new career high in games started. I believe I heard that Dan say that on the broadcast.
21, I think.
Yeah, 21. I believe this is his 21st start of the season. Eric Comrie was great for the Winnipeg Jets this afternoon. He was very important. He was solid for the Jets. If you had told me that Connor Hellebuyck was in net for the Winnipeg Jets, like he was yesterday, I wouldn't have batted an eye. That's how good Eric Comrie was for the Jets in net today. Just solid. Goals saved above expected of 1.12. Just did what you need your backup goalie to do, which is be solid, be strong. I thought the Jets, while they gave up some chances in this game, so let's not, they gave up, what was it? According to, that's a big number for natural stat tricks.
Yeah, I know.
The Blues had 6 high danger chances in the first period, which is a bigger number than I would have thought, to be perfectly honest. Eric Comrie, and I thought the Jets defense as a whole, very much one and done for the Blues, at least early on in the contest. They got a little bit on their heels in the third period, with the Blues firing everything at them, 16 shots on goal in the third period for St. Louis. But I thought that Eric Comrie and the defense around him and the forwards, it was one opportunity, and then the puck was harmlessly out of the way, which is what you want to see from a team, especially when you have a backup goalie in net.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it, Drew. I mean, that is what you wanted to see from this team, was that you're actually going to have a commitment to defense. And that's exactly what they did. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a mic issue here. Is it a little wobbly? Look, it's moving. It's like moving on me. I don't know what the hell's going on.
It's moving and grooving.
It's live. It's look, watch. And yoink.
Did that just it's your whole arm is moving.
My arm is moving. It's a little loose. I'll fix it when Scott Arniel comes to the podium. But look, I think that I'll just pull Ezzy. I'll just start touching. I'll touch the mic, then I'll inadvertently mute myself, and then I'll come back from mute. I mean, what has been a calling card of the Winnipeg Jets for so many years is your goaltenders back you up, and I know that Eric Comrie hasn't had the best season, as Doug points out. He's 11-10 on the year, but is that not 5 straight wins for Eric Comrie, I believe?
I mean,
I think it is.
That's asking too difficult of a question. That's too much math for me to have to go back and do. But it's 2 straight wins for sure. I can say that because he started the first game post Olympics against the Canucks, and then this game against the Blues. Ever since Hellebuyck came back from the injury, Comrie and the whole Jets team wasn't good when Hellebuyck was out of the lineup. There's no sugarcoating that whatsoever.
By the way, I'm fact checking myself, and I am correct. It is 5 straight wins, and in those 5 wins, a 958, a 957, a 964, a 913, and I don't know what his save percentage was in today's game. But I'm just saying that those are pretty good numbers for your backup goaltender. And the Jets collectively, we talked about it, didn't play well enough in front of either of their goaltenders throughout the course of this season. But those are pretty good numbers from Eric Comrie, I would say, in the last 5 games.
Yeah, I would say that Eric Comrie has done everything that you want him to do, that he has been a very solid option for the Winnipeg Jets when they've turned to him, which is, I think, part of the reason why people are a little surprised he didn't maybe get an earlier game on this homestand.
We were surprised by that, Drew.
Yeah, we were absolutely surprised. We thought Thursday would have been a great opportunity to get him in. They didn't. Whatever, what's done is done now. But the Jets continue. They have one game left on this homestand, this 8-game season-long homestand. They're 5-2 now on this homestand, which is certainly an admirable record. Which is, obviously we know how big of a hole they've dug for themselves. So they needed to get at least. Well, I mean, frankly, they need to go, 6-1-1, 6-2. Yeah. Now, the Tuesday game against the Nashville Predators is a must-win. I mean, you needed to win all 4 this weekend, or all 4 points.
I mean,
this weekend.
You're 4 points back at San Jose, but they've got 2 games, and I know that one of the games is being played currently. Right. They have 2 games in hand, so I mean, like that's a big gap if they win both those games.
That's right. That's a big gap. And that's why Tuesday's game against Nashville is so important. And, of course, we don't know what the Predators are going to do in Edmonton today, but they would be an underdog, certainly. Not that the Oilers can't be beaten. We've seen them be beaten many times before this season in games that they, quote unquote, should win. But if you're looking at Tuesday night, if let's, put on our prognostication caps and say the Predators lose to the Oilers later on today, and that could very easily not be the case, that's an opportunity Tuesday night for the Jets to leapfrog a team ahead of them in this constant chase for the playoffs. We know how difficult it's going to be, but we also know...
In fact, we've illustrated on the screen just to kind of, if you want to read that, Drew.
Yeah, there you go. From our buddy Steph Chapelaz, Jets need to win 14 of the last 16 games to make the current playoff line. So we know that how unlikely it is, but the Winnipeg Jets, again, every time we try and kick the dirt on them officially, they raise their arm up and say, no, not yet. I mean, you kick the dirt after Thursday's game for sure, when they just absolutely laid that egg against the New York Rangers. And then what do they do on this weekend? Well, they win the unexpected game against the Colorado Avalanche yesterday. And then they win again today against the St. Louis Blues. And it's important that they got the 4 points that they did. We know that the schedule isn't an easy one. Certainly, there's a back-to-back coming up against the Colorado Avalanche later on this month, and then they head out on the road next week to play a few of the Eastern Conference teams,
including a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday.
Including a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, and 2 of those teams are in playoff spots, the Bruins and the Penguins, and the Rangers are not. And we know that the Rangers have been pretty terrible at home, but we also know that the Rangers just beat the Winnipeg Jets here on Thursday night. Scott Arniel coming up momentarily here. Here he comes right now.
Hayden Fleury mentioned Eric Comrie's preparation, but how would you describe his ability to stay ready for moments between extended breaks like that, and how tough it actually is?
Yeah, it doesn't help when my starter tells him that he's playing tomorrow. So took the secret away for St. Louis. But no, you know what? That's one thing about great sort of number 2 goaltenders. And Combs is one of the best, that in the sense that every day he's the first guy out there and he stays on late. Guys love going against him in practice because he plays every puck right out. And just the mindset where you have to, especially following a guy like Kelly, that there could go longer stretches before between games, and you have to come in with a strong mindset, and he does a really good job of being focused. I think he's obviously become a veteran guy and learned how to handle that role, and he was fantastic tonight.
Hayden Fleury's had a couple of kind of scary injuries since the last time he scored. What's it like when a guy like that works that hard and then can snap an 80-game drought in an important moment like that for your team to get off to a good start?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with all the injuries that have happened to him and then the injuries on our defense, we've needed him now that he's come back and gotten healthy. It's great to see that he recovered. We weren't sure how that was all going to play itself out, and to be able to be back playing is great to see. And he's been playing really well. He's a great skater, has great mobility, and he's filled in real well for us. And to see him score there, especially early on like that, was a great shot. Looked like he'd been doing that his whole career.
Scott, what has impressed you about Dylan Sandberg, say, since the Olympic break, and his ability to step in, especially with Neil Pionk out? That's
a big thing, is that, he's one of the sort of, veteran guys, and, he hasn't been here that long, and now he's playing that. He's the third guy kind of with experience, and he's had to step up his game, and I think he's done a great job. He's playing with Sal and kind of helping mentor Sal along, and and that's obviously something that, he's done a very good job of, and the two of them have shown chemistry. They're playing against other teams, top 6 forwards, and it's a big role. And Sammy's been, we've seen evolution with him every year he's played. So he's really fit into not just the playing in the top 4 role. Now we're seeing leadership come from him, and as he's getting older, it's expected, and he's doing a great job with it.
The goals for you guys tonight came off the rush. Is that an area that you've really put an emphasis on?
You know what tonight was? We were run on fumes. The emotion of that Colorado game yesterday, less, 23 hours between games. It was one of those ones that obviously we could sort of lay, just say, we did a great job yesterday, and not be ready for St. Louis. Tried to emphasize about getting off to a good start. I figured that St. Louis was going to come hard. And that goal by Fleur, and then, the next one, those got us kind of settled into the game, and not by design on the rush side. Like I said, we're running on fumes, and you could see it at times, and I just thought the guys did a great job of digging in and finding a way, no matter how good, ugly, however it was. We needed the 2 points, and however we got them. A great goaltender helped us as well.
So to that point, finding a way, your last 10 games are filled with examples of, come back at the right time, scoring in overtime, holding leads like tonight, getting a good start, surviving long stretches where you didn't have it, great goaltending. How would you describe how this team has been the team over the last 10 games that just finds and stacks up enough of the moments over the game to come out on top of a tight game?
Well, we have to do it, right? We're trying to get ourselves in the playoff spot, and however it goes about, it may be, having a goaltender stand on his head like Combs did tonight, or Helly, was real good yesterday. It was us about those different scenarios you talked about, winning games. However it comes about, we have to find a way to get it, stay in games, and that's probably the biggest thing for me is, that's the disappointing thing about the Ranger game and the Anaheim game. We weren't really into the game or the way we needed to be, both emotionally and physically. And I thought those other games you're talking about, we were in them that way, and our compete level was high, and it allowed us to either be ahead in games and continue to win those games, or it was stay in them and come back and and find a way to grab points off those games.
Eric had joked about a moment where the guys had said they thought that the Avalanche had left the Mountain Air behind. It's just because it felt like everyone was sucking wind tonight. But just kind of the mindset of a team who can kind of joke their way through something like that and still stay engaged. What have you seen from them?
Well, that's part of the NHL schedule. We knew looking at this, it was in 3 and 4 days, 3.5 days, really. I think that, we were something that was coming, and we just had to be prepared. That's part of being a pro, and our guys, we talked about it. We knew that it was going to be a situation where we couldn't look at St. Louis and say, oh, well, McKinnon and McCarr and Netcash, they're not playing, so it'll be an easier game. That wasn't going to happen. We're playing against a team that won 5 straight road games, that have won 7 of their last 10, tied with us in the standings. So all those things, that was our motivation. It was find a way to, through short shifts, just trying a way to manage the puck well, and hopefully get out front like we did, and then take it home from there.
Morgan Barron picks up a couple of assists. He's got a career high. What's he giving you right now?
Everything. The great thing about Morgan, obviously you see him in the middle. I can throw him on the wings. He's been great for us on D-zone draws. He's a guy that obviously can skate. Showing some offense this year a little bit more, and I just think that he recognizes that he has kind of a role to play, and that's kind of to defend first, and he uses his size and his speed to do that, and then from there the offense can come, and he's got a great shot, and he's a big, powerful guy that can get the nets, and it was a heck of a pass he made to KC there in the third, which was a huge goal at that moment.
And then I think it was yesterday you talked about how you guys need to win by committee, and I think Hayden Fleury just a moment ago said that same kind of thing. So is that kind of what you're preaching? Are they listening to your media? What's going on that the whole team's talking about?
I don't know if they ever listen, but no. But at the end of the day, that's what we've been talking about. Sort of, Sean's question about, and even that, it's how we win those games. I don't care how who wins the game. It was everybody kind of just digging in here for the remaining games of the schedule, and everybody having to chip in some way, whether that's a top end skill guy blocking shots or making a wall play, or vice versa. It's guys like Hayden that haven't scored in a while, or Morgan Barron that's stepping up and making plays and creating offense. That's what we have to do at this time of year. We got to do it and find a way to continue to grind out points.
Sorry, if you're okay with just one more. Dean had talked the other day about defending with sticks. I thought watching that game, it was like trying to run through a thicket, trying to get through your defensive sticks. And I just a thought on what you've expected from this team and how you've got what you've got from them.
Yeah, I think you saw that yesterday too. I think that in hockey, I know it sounds pretty basic, but your stick is the most important thing of your equipment. If you have it on the ice, if it's down and you're not sort of carrying it in the air, by mistake sometimes your stick is in the right spot. But when you can use it to gain 6-7 feet of ice because you have it out in front of you and you're closing on a guy quickly, those are real important things, and especially around the net front, penalty kill, rebounds, those type of things. When those sticks are down and you're either taking a lane away or you're whacking a rebound away that may be sitting there, and I think you're right. Last couple of games we did a great job with that, and we did a really good job against Tampa with our sticks as well, and that's tracking back. That may be pouring back, and all of a sudden you keep your stick in the lane and they try a cross ice pass and you get it on. I get a piece of it and break it up. So those are real parts of a game or parts of or situations where you guys have to be recognizing all the time that the stick is important. Stick detail is important. Thanks.
There he goes, Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel joining us this evening here on the Illegal Curve post-game show, I guess this afternoon. I don't want Ezzy to yell at me. It's only 5 o'clock. I thought that was a great question by Sean there at the end, and a real nice answer by Scott Arniel, talking about the importance of sticks. And that's sort of what I was alluding to earlier, Dave, when I was talking about St. Louis being a lot of one and done. How the Jets, if, after Eric Comrie would make a save, if there was a rebound or if there was a loose puck, the Jets got the first touch on that puck throughout the course of this afternoon's game. And that's certainly, that's what you want. That means that you are in the right position. You're ready to go. You're jumping on the opportunity. Any loose puck, any puck that can be won, if you're going to win those battles, you're going to be that much further ahead in terms of winning the game in its entirety. And I thought that was an area that the Winnipeg Jets in the course of this afternoon's contest were very strong with. So great question by Sean. I'm glad he asked it. And then Scott Arniel mentioning how good the Jets have been with that in the last 3 sort of most prominent victories that they've had this afternoon against St. Louis, yesterday against Colorado, and then going back to the pre-trade deadline game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. 3 of those victories where the Jets had active sticks in the right places at all the right times.
Yeah, I mean, I think the emphasis was on the right player, because I think Eric Comrie was the man. I mean, if you want to give credit where credit is due, it goes, I think, in my mind, I'm sure the chat would maybe agree. I don't know if they'll agree, but we'll see. But I thought Eric Comrie was very good in this game. And I mean, you basically hold them to 1 for most of the hockey game, and then of course give up 1 late when they've got the 6-on-5. But yeah, I mean, I think that I would agree though that this has been a long, difficult stretch, right? I mean, you played 3 games in 4 days, not easy, kind of the way the schedules worked out. I mean, I know nobody's going to cry don't cry for me, Argentina, in that regard, but yeah, it wasn't, you knew it was going to be a tough task. And it's just interesting that of the games that they lost, they weren't the ones we anticipated, right? We were anticipating that they'd lose, maybe 1 of 2 last week during the week in terms of the Anaheim and the New York ones, and probably go 1-2 against the Colorado Avalanche. So the results are probably where we anticipated it to be, right? Drew is going 2-4, but you are right in one regard. I mean, if you want to talk about being a playoff team, again, I understand. I don't want people to get upset, but it's just the reality. I understand, again, the strength of it's fine. It's like every time I say it, I feel like I need to disclaim it. Yes, I understand the strength of schedule suggested it's almost impossible. As we posted earlier, the Jets have to go on an insane run in order to make it happen. But yeah, I mean, the reality was that you needed to probably get at least 1 point in either the Anaheim or New York game, and then do what you did this weekend. Because again, not through fault of anyone other than yourselves, is you've put yourself into the situation where you need to be essentially perfect. And the problem is they've been imperfect in these games, right? We're talking about games where Colorado dominated the game and they didn't win, but they probably should have, or, you know, I mean, again, if you replay that game a number of times, they probably do. And similarly, St. Louis, I mean, we talked about the analytics. The analytics, even though the Jets did some things that were good, the analytics weren't in their favor from today's game. So look, now I will kind of offset what I've just said, and I'll end with this thought, Drew, is that for many years, we've seen the Jets win games they didn't deserve to win because they've had good goaltending. So it wouldn't be the first time this organization has seen something like that.
No question about it. Let's get into the period by period recap. We focus on the key moments. We focus on the goals that are scored. We do it on each and every edition of the Illegal Curve postgame show.
The Play Now game recap.
Our friends at Play Now have been loyal sponsors of ours for many years. We thank them for that. We remind you that every time the Jets score a power play goal, you get a $5 sports bonus bet as long as you've placed a same game parlay on that game. Conditions apply, naturally. They always do. Bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly. That promo is in effect until the end of the regular season, which of course is going to come on after the game on April 16th. Time will tell if that is the end of the season itself or just the end of the regular season. The Jets score on their opening goal in tonight's contest. That's the way you want to start on the second half of a back-to-back, no question about it. A guy who has never yet scored for the Winnipeg Jets. It's nice to see him get this goal. I mean, I still think of Hayden Fleury, and I think back to that, performance that he had in the Manitoba Miracle, where he was called into action and played minutes upon minutes upon minutes upon minutes in that game against the Blues. And he finally scores for the Jets, his first as a member of the Jets, naturally his first of the season, his first in, what was it, Dave, 81 games? Is that the number I think I saw?
Well, first with the Jets, I think it was 64, and 81 is total.
Yes, total.
Yeah, 81 is... And then the crazy part also is the fact that he also scored against St. Louis when he was with Tampa.
His last goal.
Very weird.
His last goal was against the St. Louis Blues.
Was it Binnington in net?
That I don't know. I'd have to go back and check.
Well, here you break it down. I will do a quick assessment.
You find out if it was Binnington in net or not. It starts with a nice board battle by
Drew. Luckily he doesn't score very often, so it's not going to take a lot of work to figure this one out.
It's not going to take a lot of work at all. It starts with the Jets winning a board battle. Cole Koepke wins a board battle against Theo Lindstein, young player for the St. Louis Blues. This is deep in the Jets zone, and he jets the puck up to Morgan Barron. So now it's a 2-on-2 with Barron and Brad Lambert, and it's a nice pass by Barron. It's actually a nicer play by Lambert than it is a nice pass by Barron. Lambert is able to deflect the pass from his skate to his stick as they gain the Jets blue line. The Blues blue line. Lambert with good vision sees Hayden Fleury jumping up into the play. Fleury has beat Pavel Buchnevich up the ice. He gets the pass from Lambert right sort of at the face-off dot, and he wires it past Jordan Binnington. Probably one that Binnington needs to save, to be perfectly blunt. It was a nice play, but it wasn't a stupendous shot or anything along those lines. But it's beautiful for the Winnipeg Jets, and it's especially beautiful for Hayden Fleury. I like Lambert's play on this one. We know that the skill is there. Putting it all together at the NHL level has been the question mark, but he does a nice job here taking it from skate to stick to Fleury, and the Jets, from an unlikely trio of Fleury, Lambert, and Barron, have a 1-0 lead on the first shot of the game, 2 minutes and 31 seconds into this afternoon's contest, Dave.
And while you were breaking it all down, Drew, I found enough time to determine that not only was that the goal that he scored against Jordan Binnington, but I think it chased Binnington, because I don't know if they pulled him right after or the next period, but then Hofer started the third period. So that was they scored five. That was the fifth goal of 6 that Tampa Bay would score in the game. And that was the fifth one. That one was at the end of the second period. So I presume that Hofer came out for the start of the third, but we've confirmed that his last 2 goals have both come against Jordan Binnington. A little surprised, actually. I was a little surprised that they went with Binnington. One, because Hofer's been unbelievable for St. Louis.
Yeah.
And it's his hometown. So you kind of thought that maybe they'd go with the Winnipeg's. I mean, again, not that it has to be that reason. Obviously, You're not going to make that determination, but maybe St. Louis was like, well, we really don't want to win. We'd rather all this winning. We traded away this team so we could get a good pick, guys. So can you stop being the Nashville Predators from a few years back? And maybe we'll lose some of these games. But anyways, so yeah, you're right. It was an unexpected trio that linked up. But we've been talking about it. Morgan Barron and Brad Lamberto make a nice little play, give and go pass, and then Lambert finds Fleury, who just kind of. I like just the fact that he didn't overthink it, just rifles it on net as soon as he gets a hold of that puck and gets it on the look. Hayden Fleury has offensive chops. Like again,
that's why I was surprised. I mean, for a guy who's known as a decent skater, a bit of a puck mover. Yeah. I mean, to go that long without getting a goal at any point in time sort of is surprising when you consider him that he's not he's not known as being a defensive stalwart, a stay-at-home shutdown kind of D guy.
Well, absolutely, which is why that's what I was going to say. Like, to me, the irony, of course, is that he's not that by any stretch of the imagination. Mm-hmm. Other than when he is pressed into service and has to play like 30 minutes in an unexpected playoff game.
In a game 7.
Yeah, in a game 7. But yeah, it's definitely nice for all that he's had to deal with. And for the having, the injuries previously, then this year, that obviously horrific situation, getting hit into the boards, and then having to come back from that, and then being able to contribute. So, I mean, like we've said, ideally Hayden Fleury is your 7-8 guy on a good team, not an everyday guy. But for right now, he's an everyday guy, and the Jets don't look like they're having, Pionk or Miller back anytime soon. So it is Hayden Fleury. Somewhat curiously over Ville Heinola today. I mean, we all thought based on Scott Arniel's comments, I guess those comments would have been Friday? Is that when Friday?
Yeah, that it sounded like Ville Heinola was going to get one of these 2 games. Now, whether that was going to be I don't know that was ever going to be for Hayden Fleury as opposed to for Jacob Bryson.
Could have been.
But considering you have, I mean, those are 3 left shot defensemen. So somebody's going to be playing on their off wing. I was a little surprised, but I guess, and I thought Bryson and Fleury were actually pretty good for the Winnipeg Jets in this afternoon's contest. For a team, for the most part, that did not possess the puck a lot. I think I had this up on my screen before. Fleury and Bryson were the only guys on the ice with favorable shot attempt numbers. Fleury was on the ice for 9 shot attempts, 5 shot attempts against. That led all Winnipeg Jets players, never mind the defensemen. And then Jacob Bryson, same, 7 on the ice for 7 shot attempts for, 7 shot attempts against. But so good for Scott Arniel for continuing to, I guess, play the hunch and change his mind between Friday and Sunday.
And in his defense, he never confirmed anything. Weber asked him the question and kind of leading him a little bit, saying, and he said, well, he essentially said, oh, I'm not going to tip my hand. Unlike when Connor Hellebuck tipped his hand about Eric Comrie being the starter in today's game, which was, I thought, funny comment from the coach. Yeah, I mean, it's a well-deserved goal for a guy who has been a good soldier and an oft-injured soldier with some bad injuries. So, and obviously a guy who's joined us on this show over the summer. So, I mean, he gives the Jets a 1-0 lead, and he gets it kind of going in that building, right? Like, the building was, I mean, like I said, it was unusual in the sense that there wasn't a lot going on in the first 5 to 10 minutes of that hockey game. I mean, there was some puck movement, but there really weren't. It wasn't like we were sitting here talking about, here there were 3 or 4 golden opportunities and guys were getting stymied.
Yeah. 1-0 for the Jets at that point in time. They make it 2-0. 5 minutes later, 5 minutes and 20 seconds later, on their 3rd shot of the game. So again, if you have a shooting percentage of 66%, that's going to be good. You're likely going to be doing some decent things. The Jets score twice on their first 3 shots of the game. This one is Mark Scheifele, his 31st, the birthday boy. What is it? His 33rd birthday? Is that what it is?
So I was told.
Yeah, 33rd birthday, 31st goal of the season. Assist to Josh Morrissey on this one. And it's, Scheifele just, I mean, it's a combination of outworking Pia Suter and then just blowing past Cam Fowler. of the St. Louis Blues. It starts, just about the blue line, the defensive blue line for the Jets, where he jumps on the loose puck. He gets inside position. He blows past Fowler. He's coming down to the left of Binnington and just cuts into the middle and just beats Jordan Binnington with the backhand. I mean, that's a nice goal for Mark Scheifele on his birthday. Just outworking two of the members of the Blues. The Blues had the puck deep in the Jets zone. Morrissey gets the assist just for sort of ringing it around the boards. And Scheifele helps out his loyal teammate in getting on that puck and beating the two Blues players. Pia Suter, I thought, had a very weak game for the St. Louis Blues, as he was, of course, the one who was being assessed the penalty, the delayed penalty that when Kyle Connor scores. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. Pia Suter is a guy that they acquired, or they signed as a free agent from Vancouver. Yeah, he got an assist on the Dvorsky goal, but he's had a rough year in St. Louis like so many other members of the Blues.
Yeah, no, and it was funny because originally I didn't think we were kind of like, how did Morrissey get an assist there? And then when you watch the replay, you realize like he rang it around the boards. But yeah, and I think it must have. Again, I think it just for Pia Suter's purposes, I think a bit of an unfortunate the roll on that one, because you're right, it just bounced over his stick. That's not really, I mean, to me, it's Fowler who makes the more egregious kind of letting Scheifele get past him rather easily.
Yeah.
And Mark Scheifele he's pretty money when he has that kind of opportunity. He makes no mistake, and there's a reason why he has consistently scored, a fair number of goals. But it just heads up. He recognizes that he's got Fowler flat-footed to a degree, hits the puck to himself, chips it up, I should say, to himself, and a real night just shows off his hands, right? And that's one of the things that he's known for. So gives the Jets that 2-0 lead. And as folks were saying in the chat, happy birthday to Mark Scheifele.
Yes, happy birthday. It was also Isak Rosean's birthday as well today. So
correct.
Double birthdays.
I think he's a full decade younger though.
23, 33 and 23. So there's the youth and the veteran leadership celebrating birthdays in the course of today's game. There is some Snackatoba is stealing your thunder, putting some minutia.
But they called it minutia, so that's fine.
Yeah, he's saying the Jets are over 60 games into the season and are undefeated if either Gus Nyquist or Hayden Fleury score in a game. So, I mean, we don't need to dig any deeper into that minutia to see how many goals each of those two players have. But if they score, the Jets are undefeated so far this season. Again, another quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. The Sharks had a 2-1 lead. The Ottawa Senators have tied it up halfway through the second period. So that's knotted up at deuces for each of them in Ottawa halfway through that contest.
Well, and I was going to say, like, not to get too much into it, but Ottawa needs this game, do they not?
Oh, no question. Ottawa is, I mean, their playoff chances are again, they're very much like the Winnipeg Jets.
I was going to say, they're remote.
Points. Yeah, they're 5 points behind Detroit and Boston.
Although Detroit's lost two centers, so they're dropping precipitously.
Yeah, Detroit's 3-5-2 in their last 10. The Senators are 6-2-2 in their last 10. So they've been playing good hockey since the end of the Olympic break. But they definitely need this win tonight. Ottawa does. That would move them within 3 points of Boston and Detroit, pending other outcomes. So yeah, Ottawa. And again, San Jose they had an evening game in Montreal. So they played at 7:00 Eastern time in Montreal last night, won that game. Then they had to, I don't know if they even, I mean, I guess it's about a 40-minute flight from Montreal to Ottawa. But it's an afternoon start in Ottawa as well. So again, you consider it's a quick turnaround, about as short of a turnaround as you can have in an NHL game. It would have been, I guess, probably maybe a 21-hour turnaround between the two games, which I thought they weren't allowed.
I was gonna say that's probably the minimum.
I thought 22 hours, to be perfectly honest, was the minimum.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. It might be 21 hours. Let me just see what time Puck Drunk was there. Yeah, 5:08 Eastern. So it was 22 hours is the minimum that you can have. So that's what's happening between Ottawa and Montreal so far. Pardon me, Ottawa and San Jose.
Drew, do you want to read the minutia part two?
You can read it.
Scheifele has now scored 2 goals on his birthday today and in 2021 against the Habs. That's courtesy of our friend Nathan Frey at 5547 coming up with that one. And before you get into the second period and the third period, Drew, one thing I noticed, it was an observation I made, and I'm just curious about what everybody else thinks with respect to this. Is it weird for you to see? I still find it weird watching 27 in a Jets jersey. I'm not used to it. I honestly, at one point he made a play with the puck, did a little bit of a tight turn, as a Dennis Bayak would say, and I was like, I can't help. I'm like, oh, Ehlers, and I'm like, no, not Ehlers, not Ehlers.
The Jets would love if he materializes into Nikolai Ehlers.
Yes.
But it is sort of funny because they're both, not that they play the same game, but they're both sort of undersized, skilled guys, who have a good amount of speed to them. So it definitely is going to take a little bit of getting used to. The chat is agreeing with you and saying that it is weird. 2-0 for the Jets after 20 minutes. A very nice opening period for the Jets. Eric Comrie, big when he had to be. The second period saw no goals scored by either team. Again, an relatively uneventful second period. 6 shots on goal for the Blues, 4 for the Winnipeg Jets. In that second period, the Jets had 3 high danger chances in that second. The Blues had 1. So after 40 minutes, the Jets are really sort of tightening up the game, given that it's got a 2-0 lead. And the question is, how are they going to play the third? We know their propensity as of late for giving up early goals in the third period. It's not quite as early as we had seen in some other games, but the Blues do score 5 minutes and 17 seconds into the third period to make it a 1-goal game. This is a odd man rush, something the Jets have been pretty good at preventing over the last 2 days, over the last 48 hours. They didn't give up many, if any, against the Colorado Avalanche. This is a poor read by Hayden Fleury. Just being perfectly honest, he gets beat on this one by the aforementioned Pius Suter, who walks him, and now the Blues are coming in on what really is a 4-on-1. It's Pius Suter. He gets the puck up to Jonathan Berggren, and then Dalibor Dvorsky goes where he's supposed to go, which is to the far post. And Berggren is able to get the pass through Bryson. Sort of stops up a little bit. Bryson does a little bit of a flyby, expecting that Berggren was going to continue going down the wing. He finds Dvorsky, who makes no mistake in tipping it past Eric Comrie. And with 15 minutes to go in the game, Dave, the St. Louis Blues have cut the lead to 2-1. And the Jets, being perfectly honest, are a little bit on their heels and were for a lot of that third period, given that St. Louis fired, as you would expect. They fired 16 shots at Eric Comrie and in the direction of the Winnipeg Jets net, a period that saw the ice heavily tilted in the Blues' favor. 21 shot attempts as a whole for the Blues in that third period.
The irony, of course, Drew, is that you said, we talked about how the analytics suggested that pairing was the best in terms of the shots, but in this instance, not particularly good. It's just, it's too loose, and Fleury, I understand what he's trying to do to take the body, but I mean, he's got to recognize that St. Louis is coming with the rush.
Yeah.
And
not the time to step up right there.
No, it wasn't. And if you're going to at least step up and be effective, but he was actually fairly ineffective in taking the body on that play, right? He just kind of gets rolled off. And so he goes into the neutral zone, and the Blues, as you said, come in on basically a 4-on-1, and then Bryson trying to get back. Well, he does the old slide by. It looked like Nathan McKinnon actually in yesterday's game.
Yeah.
And you're right. And then you almost have like Eric Comrie has no chance. It's essentially a 3-on-0. So there's very, very minimal chance that one's not being staved. And that's exactly what happened. So
San Jose has retaken the lead 3-2. Colin Graff getting his 19th of the season. So again, back and forth they go.
Are we going to be doing this for the next? How much longer are we going to be doing this for?
Well, it's until. Let me put it to you this way: if the Jets had lost yesterday and today, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be doing live out of town scoreboard updates in the midst of the game recaps. I'm pretty sure at that point in time we would not have been doing so. 2-1 for the Jets. At that point. And then, as I mentioned, again, you can't be taking foolish penalties 200 feet away from your net. Mm-hmm. That's not a recipe for success. That's what Pius Suter does, taking a penalty. It's an holding penalty on Gabe Vilardi. The Jets maintain possession, though. And the St. Louis Blues, I mean, the Jets are deep in their own zone. So it's not like it's not like the Jets are pressing, and that's why they have possession. what happens is Eric Comrie skates to the bench. The Jets have possession. The delayed penalty is coming, and Kyle Connor jumps on the ice. The Blues are in the midst of a terrible line change. You can sort of see Colton Parayko is heading off the ice, and Morgan Barron finds Kyle Connor well behind the entire St. Louis Blues team. I mean, if there's ever any player when there's a delayed penalty, you have to be aware of the guy who's jumping on the ice, especially when that delayed penalty is coming in the defensive zone of the team that is going to be on the power play, because they got nothing to lose. You throw that puck up there. Kyle Connor, as soon as he jumps on the ice, as soon as Eric Comrie skates to the bench and Kyle Connor jumps on the ice, he's thinking one thing and one thing only. He's making a beeline for the St. Louis Blues zone. He gets behind everybody of the Blues that's on the ice. The defensemen here are Logan Mailloux and Phil Broberg of the Blues. Nobody keeps track of Kyle Connor. It's a great pass by Morgan Barron, hitting Connor in stride, and Connor against Binnington, it's Connor all the way. He makes no mistake. He gets the Jets their 2-goal lead back, this coming at the 11:53 mark. So there's 8 minutes to go in the third period, and the Jets have a 3-1 lead on the basis of this Kyle Connor goal, his 31st of the season.
Yeah, and you know, you watch that play and you're wondering why the Blues were so anemic in terms of their pursuit. It was like they just kind of were like, all right, whatever. We're deep in the Jets, and what's the likelihood they're going to be able to do anything? It'll get stopped. Almost like they were like, yeah, it'll get stopped in the neutral zone. Credit Morgan Barron. I mean, and one guy who we've talked about seeing more of with his speed and with his ability to win faceoffs and given maybe a little more of a role. But yeah, I mean, it was just it's a really heads up play to recognize, oh, wait a second, our most dangerous goal scorer is on the ice and he's behind the play. As long as I can hit him in stride, it's going to be good. So he does exactly that, hits him in stride. And I don't need to describe Kyle Connor's ability to score anymore. We've done it, 600 times on this, on these shows. Well, thereabouts, maybe not necessarily 600 because we've been doing this post-game show for 5 years, but we talk about his goal scoring prowess on the Saturday show and on the old Wednesday show, perhaps.
It's well established. I don't think we need to rehash that.
Yeah. But the bottom line is that it's a real nice connection between Barron and Connor, almost like, hey, wait a second, if you put Connor and Barron on a line together on the second line, maybe that would have some chemistry. Maybe they'd have the ability to do some damage there. But that is more of a Saturday topic than a post-game topic, so we'll leave it for now. And he's got, his 31st. He didn't like the fact that Mark Scheifele was atop the goal scoring list. And also the other thing he didn't like, which is probably why he was happy that St. Louis scored a goal, and I'm saying that sarcastically somewhat, is the fact that Mark Scheifele was starting to pull away in terms of the game-winning goal on the franchise list. Scheifele has 65, and Connor was down to 61, Drew.
Yeah, so Scheifele, you're saying the 3-2 goal. So now Connor gets the game-winning goal.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yes. So now Connor has, spoiler alert for those who are not aware of the final score, but Kyle Connor will now have 62 game-winning goals behind Kyle, itching closer to the Mark Scheifele 65.
Yeah. 3-2 with about 8 minutes to go. The St. Louis Blues pull Jordan Binnington again with about three, maybe 3.5 to go in that third period. They're trying to get within one. They do get within one with 51 seconds to go. Dylan Holloway banks one in off of the rear end of Josh Morrissey is what it looked like to me. Assist to Mailloux, assist to Jimmy Snuggerud, and it's a 3-2 game with 51 seconds to go. I want to actually make mention before we get into that. I forgot to mention that the pass by Morgan Barron to Kyle Connor is our Wheatland Hockey heads-up hockey play of the game. Wheatland Hockey was created to build skills, character, and excellence on and off the ice. It's offering development-focused, inclusive programming that builds hockey skills while fostering confidence, leadership, and resilience. Check them out online, wheatlandhockey.ca. Big thanks to our friends at Wheatland Hockey for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Now, Drew, before you get into this goal, wasn't there a breakaway that we missed?
There was a Jordan Kyrou breakaway that Eric Comrie made a big save on. I think that was when it was still 2-1.
It was 2-1. That's right.
Yes.
It was 2-1. And I just wanted to mention that one because I forgot about it until now. And I was like, well, no, we should give again. Not that we haven't lauded Eric Comrie for his performance, but that was a really nice, obviously critical save by him on Jordan Kyrou.
Yes, no question about it. We talked about it. Eric Comrie came up big when he needed to in this game. He was very good for the Winnipeg Jets. But yeah, thank you for reminding me about that one. I sort of forgot about it as well. But that was a huge save because all of a sudden, if the Jets give up those 2 goals, every good thing that they've done throughout the first, 45, 50 minutes of this game is all for naught as you're back into a tie game at this point. And then maybe those legs begin to feel a little bit heavier. But Comrie steps up big. And then Connor scores. The Blues within one.
Since you're doing this, Snacktoba's stealing your role, but you might want to update the folks with the score.
Well, it was I saw that it was 3-3. It was Fabian Zetterlund scored at the 13:40 mark to make it 3-3. But apparently Snackatoba is now saying, Tyler Clevin, a minute and 5 seconds after the Senators tied it up, has taken the lead for the first time in Ottawa. They were down 1-0, tied 1-1, down 2-1, tied 2-2, down 3-2, tied 3-3, and now they are up 4-3. I suspect there's more goals to come in Ottawa. Not a goaltending duel so far, but with 5 minutes to go in the second period, the Senators now lead 4-3 over the Sharks.
Which again reinforces the point we were making when people were aghast at us talking about the Jets being a playoff team. And I said, folks, San Jose is not very good. LA is not very good. Nashville's not very good. And Seattle's not very good. So is Winnipeg. So you've got 5 teams that aren't very good. Any one of those 5 teams could become fodder for what are known as the Colorado Avalanche.
Well, that's right.
Until the Jets do what they did a couple of years ago, which is beat the Avalanche in all their regular season games, including the 2 remaining, and then, of course, make the playoffs and then sweep the Avs in the first round.
Yes, we can all hold our breath waiting for that to happen. As I said, 2-1 or 3-2, 51 seconds to go. I thought the Jets got away with one. That Morgan Barron took a shot towards the empty net with about maybe 20 seconds to go. Probably should have scored into the empty net, but he missed. He shot a wide from, I thought he was on the Jets side of center, and I was expecting an icing call. But it didn't materialize. I think the Senators bench, I think Kevin said it on the broadcast, that the Senators bench.
Stop saying the Senators. You're wrong game.
The Blues bench.
You're so fixated on Ottawa and San Jose. You've now forgotten what post-game show we're doing.
Why I don't multitask, people. I'm not that smart, and bad things happen when I try and do that.
This was like me trying to tweet out both the Jets game and the Moose game at the exact same time. But anyways, go on.
Anyways, the Jets, Barron shot it wide. I thought there was going to be an icing play so would have necessitated a face-off on next to Comrie with about 20 seconds to go. Didn't materialize. There ended up being an icing on the Jets, but that was with 4 seconds to go. They were able to scramble the face-off. No harm done. 3-2 is the final. And as Vicious 934 says, Jets won. Go Jets, go. Thank you for that contribution to Ezzy's coffee fund, Vicious. We appreciate any and all donations that we get here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Totally not necessary, but appreciated nonetheless. The Jets win tonight 3-2 over the St. Louis Blues. They move, for the time being at least, within 4 points of the final playoff spot in the Western Conference. As we said, time will tell where that ends up at the end of the night. But for the Winnipeg Jets, a very good weekend. 4 points needed, 4 points banked for the Jets. When we come back this afternoon on the Illegal Curve post-game show, Dave M will tell you what's happened with the Manitoba Moose in Calgary. We'll keep an eye on the Senators and the Sharks, as we've been doing, and more fun and whatever other nonsense we can think of. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Saturday afternoon. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now.
Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh, boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca. For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
Hey Winnipeg, Joe Carter here. I look forward to joining you in Winnipeg on June 4th for the Rady JCC Ken Cronson Sports Dinner. See you in June. Don't be late.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
See you in June at the Rady JCC annual dinner with Joe Carter and Cito Gaston. Tickets radyjcc.com. See you in April. Tuesday, April 14th, 8 p.m. to be exact. Boston Pizza, Taylor Avenue. We know it's going to be the last regular season road game. Time will tell if it's the last regular season game on the road, last game of the season on the road, period. But we want you to join us at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue. You're going to be annoyed by me the number of times we're going to say it between now and Tuesday, April 14th. So just make a commitment to be there and you'll stop being annoyed because you'll be excited to see all of us at Illegal Curve. Yours truly, Dave M., Ezzy, presumably. And of course, you'll see all of your Illegal Curve friends and family that watch the show religiously on a night in, night out basis. So Tuesday, April 14th, 8 p.m., Boston Pizza, Taylor Avenue. Call them, make a table reservation now. Be sure to join us there. We're looking forward to it. We'll watch the Jets and the Mammoth, and then we'll do a post-game show. So you can look forward to that. The Jets playoff chances are very slim still, but the Manitoba Moose look like a playoff team. They were a victorious team for sure in Calgary earlier today. Dave M. will tell us all about it on this upcoming edition of the Minooq Moose Minute.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minooq Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
The Moose were indeed in action, Drew. The Moose, of course, wanting to forget their Friday night collapse. They were up 1-0 over the Wranglers on Friday night in Calgary, and they did something they've never done in the history of this version of the Manitoba Moose. As someone who's watched, I would say, probably pretty confidently, almost every single game in the 11 years that this team has been back, that they did something I couldn't recall it happening, and then I confirmed it had never happened, and that was give up 6 goals in one period, which is what they did on their way to losing 7-2 on Friday night in Calgary. So you knew they were going to want to have a better effort. And that is just what happened because they were not exactly pleased with their play. And so a lot of the Calgarians on the team, and there's quite a few guys from Calgary or from Alberta that are on this squad, they decided to get going and turn their fortunes around, which is exactly what they did. Although a lot of the credit, much like in today's game with the focus being on Eric Comrie, Drew, the focus of this Moose game in Calgary will be on BC product Thomas Milic, because he was phenomenal, making 44 saves on 46 shots. So if you can do math, that the Moose gave up at least 2 goals, but they scored 4. One of those came in the first period. Isaac Phillips, the defenseman, he scored his 8th of the year. He actually went for the Gordie Howe. He didn't get the Gordie Howe hat trick, Drew, although he got 2 of the 3. He got the goal, and then a minute later, he dropped the gloves and had a spirited tilt. So it was him and Othman had a nice little fight. You'd expect Tyrell Bauer, but he didn't get into any. He didn't drop the gloves in Calgary. He tried to get engaged. Moose gave up a power play goal. It's weird, Drew. The Moose PK was one of the best PKs in the AHL, second best road PK, and yet this stretch right now that they're on, they've scored a bunch of power play goals. I think, not including today's game, they had scored 4 power play goals in the last 5 games. But I guess for a team that couldn't score a power play goal if their lives depended on it, maybe part of that giving up, being able to get that, is that they've now given up a few more goals on the PK. So the game was tied on the PK. Justin Kirkland, his 10th. So it was 2-1 all. And then Jared Anderson-Dolan, speaking of guys from Calgary, he's on the receiving end, kind of finds some soft ice. Danny Zhilkin, the Jets prospect, gets the pass from Colby Barlow, and he makes just a beautiful pass across to Jared Anderson-Dolan to give the Moose a 2-1 lead, and they weren't done there. But it was Carter Wilkie. You got to give him credit. His first goal of the season, he scores to tie it up at 2. The Moose gave up. So they'd given up, I think, 24 shots in the first 40 minutes, and they were actually leading. I think they were leading 26-24. So they weren't being outshot. I believe, 26-24 in the first 40 minutes of the game. Calgary shot 22 times on Thomas Milic in the third period. They scored about 5 minutes in to tie the game. And then the Calgary product, Dylan Anhorn, the left shot defenseman, he wired home his second of the season to make it a 3-2 game. And then the Gus Bus in his second game back after missing 7 straight with injury, he got it an empty netter to make it a 4-2 game. So the Moose win the first game of the road trip. They win the last game of the road trip. They lose the 2 in the middle, and they come back home, and they're pretty comfortably in, I think I want to say, in amongst the mix. I'm going to tell the folks right now where they are exactly in the Central. Yeah, they remain in 3rd in the Central. All those games in hand that they had, though, those are now done. They're played the same number of games as Chicago and as Texas and Milwaukee. The Moose, nobody's catching Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids has 90 points. Right. But Chicago, they're like the Colorado Avalanche. The Chicago Wolves, though, they have 68 points. Moose have 62. And then Texas has 60 and Milwaukee has 55. So the Moose are comfortably in a playoff spot, and that is where they'll be. They'll be back home now for 4 games. 2 during the week. They're playing Milwaukee on Wednesday morning, school day game. That's a 10:30 in the morning game, Drew. I'll be there with 6,000 screaming kids. Then Thursday night, and then they welcome the Tucson Roadrunners. So I'm going to be, if I thought I was busy, watching the game, the Jets game here in Winnipeg and the Moose game on TV, it's going to be even more difficult watching the Jets game on television and being live at the Moose game and trying to cover it. But hey, this is what we do to bring the folks.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown is the motto on Dave Minuk's business card.
And so a couple things. Bobby B is saying, Dave, how many current Jets are eligible to play for the Moose in the playoffs, assuming Jets don't qualify? The only 2 are Brad Lambert and Elias Salamonson. They did not make Isak Rosen and Roseanne, and
Billy
Heinola. So neither of those guys are eligible to play for the Moose. One player I'm kind of curious about, and I don't know if he will or will not, and this goes into my whole prospect thing, Drew, but Alphonse Frey, the 2024 second rounder, the left shot defenseman who is playing for Timrå in Sweden in the Swedish Hockey League. His season came to an end last night or the night before because they did not make the playoffs. So I am curious, with the Moose having 16 or 17 regular season games remaining, if he would be made eligible. Now, I don't know if they papered him down. I didn't see anything to that effect. I want to ask today. I didn't get a chance to ask. I'm going to ask this week to find that out. But his season did come to an end. He could play games for the regular season. He just may not be eligible for the playoffs for the Moose. But I would think that you'd want to get him, down here in North America and get comfortable. But as far as
signed his contract, so it wouldn't.
Yeah, he's already signed his ELC,
so it's not an amateur tryout or anything.
Yeah, no. He wouldn't be, and there's a reason why. Like, you generally can't kind of have your pro guys, at the you can do it with junior guys, you can do it with guys from college that you sign. So we've seen that with like Parker Ford, for example, played playoff games even though he wasn't on the Moose roster as of the trade deadline.
But if they play him, I guess you wouldn't burn any year of his contract or anything. So you can still slide his entry level.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the only thing he's the player I'm curious about, and we'll see. And then of course, obviously the junior guys, depending on how their seasons go. One player I want to mention. Well, there's a number of players, but if you follow the illegalcurve.com,
briefly, remember the lasagna conversation from about an hour ago.
Well, you got to let it rest. Isn't that?
You don't know anything about lasagna. You've never had it. It's not meat. You don't have to eat it. It's not like it's a roast that needs to rest.
But I will mention, because we are a Winnipeg-based show or a Manitoba-based show, but we got to mention Oak Bank's Owen Martin, the 2025 third rounder, had himself a great weekend for Spokane. Had 2 goals on Friday, had a goal and 3 assists yesterday. He loves playing Tri-City. I think he's got like 18 or 19 points in 7 games against Tri-City. But he really with Frey, I just quickly, before I forget, he had 2 assists in his first 30 something games for Timrah, and then ended up having 6 goals and 3 assists in his final 10 games. So he
got comfortable, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he got comfortable, got more power play opportunity. So he, again, like I said, I think they're going to want him to continue. So we'll look to see if that happens. And Owen Martin, he had a really good kind of stretch for Spokane. Real slow start, but he's been really good. Kevin, he's been really good. And Kieran Walton, he scored again today. So we'll have all this clipped, and we'll try and, again, follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter, and we'll have all that. Drew, the truth is also, it's kind of your fault, because if you would have let me get this out yesterday, I wouldn't be trying to play catch up today. But, you rushed me over yesterday. And so this is what you earned today.
There's no chance that had anything to do with it. You would have done it today and yesterday.
I would have done the Moose stuff today, but the prospects, but the Kevin, he had a good weekend. Kieran Walton, well, he did. Owen Martin, I would have mentioned. So, and also the other thing, Drew, that we kind of have to focus on, because it's somewhat relevant, is all the college guys. You got Zach Naring, Western Michigan, I believe, lost to Denver, to Garrett Brown's team, although Garrett Brown hasn't played, and Sasha Boumediene, not that matters. His Boston University team's done, and I don't know if they're going to qualify for the NCAA championship. We'd have to ask our good boy, our boy Brad Schlossman from the UND, from the Grand Forks Herald, to find out exactly. But I don't think Boston University is expected. Not that it matters, because Boumediene's not going to come over and play any pro games. But there's lots to pay attention to, Drew. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's an off day for the Moose tomorrow and an off day for the Jets tomorrow.
Thank God.
You know that illegalcurve.com will still have some great content, even though we'll give Dave a day off so he can relax a little bit as well. Won't be as busy of a day for him, but illegalcurve.com is, of course, your destination for anything to do with the Winnipeg Jets, the Manitoba Moose, or any of the prospects that belong to the Winnipeg Jets organization. I know we've been keeping track of the Senators Sharks game. It's in the second intermission. It's a nice story. He's obviously not having a great game, giving up 4 goals in 40 minutes. But Laurent Brossoit is the starting goalie for the San Jose Sharks. And we know how hard he's battled back after he signed with Chicago and has had nothing but bad injury luck since then. It's nice that he is able to make it all the way back to the NHL level. Getting shelled so far through 40 minutes this afternoon, but that's still impressive that he made it all the way back. So I wanted to make mention of that. He was a very good pro when he was here in Winnipeg. 3 shows, 32 hours. That's how we do it here on the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. It's all possible because of all of you joining us, of course, and all of our sponsors, our friends at the Rady JCC, our friends at City Place and Holt Dental, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Wheatland Hockey, and Boston Pizza, and our title sponsor, our friends at Play Now. Support all of these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We're going to take tomorrow off. We encourage you. Well, you probably have to go to work. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And as much as a tardy slip from Illegal Curve, it does not hold any weight. So probably should go to work, but join us again on Tuesday night after the Jets and the Nashville Predators. We look forward to doing a post game on a must-win Tuesday night edition after that game. That'll be a St. Patrick's Day game. Wear your green, if you will. That is going to be right around 9:30, 9:45 on Tuesday night. Until then, for Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We thank everyone for joining us. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and tell your friends, tell your family the best place to be on Saturday mornings and after each and every Winnipeg Jets game is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. We'll see everybody on Tuesday night. Until then, we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.